I don't care how tired you are. You follow those orders to the letter.
Is that clear?
The moment she walked into that boot camp, every eye locked onto her face. Not with admiration, not with respect, with disgust. The scars that webbed across her left cheek and down her neck looked like lightning had tried to claim her and failed. The new recruits whispered behind their hands, their laughter sharp and cruel, slicing through the morning air like broken glass. She kept her head down, her duffel bag slung over one shoulder, her boots crunching against the gravel. She'd heard worse. She'd survived worse. But that didn't mean it didn't sting. Her name was Corporal Maya Reed, though nobody bothered to learn it that first day. They called her Frankenstein when they thought she couldn't hear. They called her Horror Show when they knew she could. One recruit, a cocky kid named Daniels with a smile too big for his face, made the mistake of asking her if she'd fought a bear or just lost an argument with a lawnmower. The others roared with laughter. Maya said nothing. She just stared at him with eyes that had seen things his nightmares couldn't even conjure. He looked away first, but the damage was done. She was marked, othered, alone, and boot camp had only just begun. The days blurred into a brutal rhythm of push-ups, runs, and drills that left bones aching and lungs burning. Maya kept pace with everyone, sometimes faster, sometimes stronger. But it didn't matter. She was invisible when it came to respect and hypervisible when it came to cruelty. During chow, people moved their trays when she sat down. During training, partners were chosen, and she was always last. At night, she lay on her bunk and traced the scars on her skin in the darkness, remembering the fire, the screams, the mission that went sideways in a desert she could never name, the explosion that took half her team and nearly took her face. She'd crawled through hell to survive. And now she was here, starting over, trying to prove she still had something left to give. Then came the day everything changed. It was week 3, and the entire company was lined up on the parade ground, standing at attention under a sun that felt like it wanted to punish them. A black SUV rolled onto the base, dust swirling in its wake. The door opened, and out stepped a man whose presence bent the air around him. 3 stars gleamed on his shoulder. General Marcus Hale, a living legend. The kind of man whose name was spoken in whispers in the Pentagon and whose missions were classified so deep they didn't even have code names. He walked slowly down the line of recruits, hands clasped behind his back, his gaze sweeping over each young face like a hawk scanning for weakness. And then he stopped. Right in front of Maya, the entire company held its breath. She kept her eyes forward, her jaw tight, her heartbeat thundering in her chest. The general leaned in slightly, close enough that only she could hear him. His voice was low, gravelly, and filled with something that sounded almost like reverence. "Black Ops survivor," he whispered. "Khartoum extraction. 2019. You pulled 2 operatives out of a building that was already ash. You carried them through enemy fire with half your face burned off. I signed your commendation myself." Maya's throat tightened. She didn't move, didn't blink. But inside, something cracked wide open. The general straightened and turned to face the rest of the company, his voice now booming across the parade ground like thunder. "This soldier," he said, pointing at Maya, "has more courage in 1 scarred inch of her skin than most of you will ever know in your entire lives. She didn't get those scars in an accident. She got them saving lives while under fire in one of the most dangerous operations this country has ever run. And she's standing here today because she refused to quit. So the next time any of you feel like mocking someone, remember this: her scars are proof she showed up when it mattered most." The silence that followed was deafening. Daniels, the kid who'd made the lawnmower joke, looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Others stared at the ground, shame coloring their faces. The general gave Maya one last nod, a soldier's acknowledgement, and walked away. But the weight of his words lingered like smoke in the air, settling into the bones of everyone present. After that day, everything shifted. People started sitting next to her at chow. Partners volunteered to train with her. Daniels approached her one evening, his cocky grin replaced with something raw and honest, and apologized. She didn't say much in return, just nodded. Forgiveness didn't come easy for her, but she understood what it took to admit you were wrong. And slowly, Painfully, the walls she'd built around herself began to crack. She started to smile again, started to laugh, started to feel like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone anymore. On graduation day, when they called her name and she walked across that stage to receive her certificate, the entire company stood and applauded. Not out of pity, not out of obligation, but out of respect. Real, hard-earned respect, the kind you can't fake. The kind that comes from seeing someone stripped down to nothing and watching them build themselves back up, scar by scar, step by step. Maya shook the commanding officer's hand, and as she turned to face the crowd, she saw the general standing in the back, arms crossed, a faint smile on his weathered face. He gave her a single sharp salute, and she returned it. Her scars would never fade. The memories of that mission would never leave her. But standing there, surrounded by people who finally saw her for who she truly was, Maya realized something powerful. Scars aren't marks of weakness. They're proof you fought. They're proof you survived. And they're proof that even when the world tries to burn you down, you can rise from the ashes stronger than before. She was a warrior. She always had been. And now, finally, everyone else knew it too.